Mom always told me to be a good boy, but the world said I could be anything I wanted to be, which is great, because I want to be a problem. No, I won't dive into sex, drugs, or gender confusion. To the world, that would make me a good little boy. I will learn formal logic and adhere firmly to the concept of objective truth. I will commit myself absolutely to the authority of the Word of God and make friends with Augustine, Luther, Calvin, Chesterton, Lewis, and the U.S. Constitution. I hope to grow up and love only one woman, a woman at least as clear-thinking and rebellious in this world as I will be, who knows where true beauty lies and who will never let me stop striving to be the biggest problem I can be. I will give my life for hers and aim to have a family large enough to require specialty automobiles. We will worship in a church, unashamed of the gospel, and live in a community of families doing the same. I will work myself to the bone, providing for my family, and I will make sure my kids all fall in love with Narnia and Middle-earth, that they will all know how to think, that evolution will make them giggle, and rainbows will make them think of Noah and his archaearchy. Like I said, I will be a problem, immune to all that is hip and trendy and now, singing songs that are centuries old, savoring good wine and great whiskey, dancing and laughing and feasting while the enemies of God scowl and glower in shelter in place. Hey little boy, the world says, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a metastasizing cancer of conservative Christian culture, devouring Marx's impotent progressive dream and building a resurrected Western world. I want to be a stomper of stupid sandcastles, an exposer of poisonous lies. I want my life to be a monument to the triune creator God who made us all. The kind of monument you and yours will never be able to tear down. Oh, and a fireman. Thanks for asking. New St. Andrews College. Liberal arts for outlaws.
There you go. Good Friday evening. Welcome to Cross Politics on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. The Biden administration's decided finally, because there was actually a judge that told them to stop taking applications for the student loan debt.
Oh,
did you follow that?
No.
And Arizona got confused and they stopped counting votes too at the same time. It was
They're like, is that talking to us?
It was the judge talking to us about stuff. Anyways, Pastor Toby Chuck Knox, I'm the water boy, and we got Josh Abbotoy in the studio with us, and we're gonna kind of get into what's going on in 2022 election. I mean, it's not stopped. It is not stopped.
I want to know what Fat Boy Beauty Pageant means.
If Fat Boy Summer is
really
the
notes early.
I know.
Don't look at the notes early.
I wasn't here for show prep.
You know what? Honestly, it summarizes kind of everything we've been talking about with politics.
Yeah, Fat Boy
really does.
Beauty Pageant.
Yeah, it really does.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, join the Fight Laugh Feast Club membership because we have lame ads that I have to read every single. And if you joined,
we can get rid of them.
We would have somebody on staff,
in fact,
who would be dedicated to writing better ads.
That's true. And but club members can submit an ad too to us.
Oh, they can.
Yeah, contact at fightlaughfeast.com.
If you would like to hear a better Fight Laugh Feast Club membership ad,
I like
write us an ad.
Join and send us one. By joining the Fight Laugh Feast Club Army, you not only will be aiding in our fight to take down secular and legacy media, but you also get access to content placed in our club portal, such as past shows, don't turn the music down, I like it.
I'm sorry.
And exclusive content for club members that you won't be able to find anywhere else. Lastly, you always get discounts for our conferences. I feel like I'm getting ready for that fight.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So, go to fightlaughfeast.com, join today.
And now all club members can log in and get communicate with us on the social media experience that we built in the club portal. It's fantastic.
Is that why people are sending me emails?
Yeah, probably.
I'm ignoring them.
It's been
ignore.
That's not helping.
We're really grateful to have with us today Josh Abbotoy. He's managing director at New Founding. He also earned a BA from Union University before earning his JD from Harvard Law School. Gabe, careful. He's from Harvard Law.
I know, that's true.
He also lives in Dallas, Texas. Oh, I see why we got him on.
Wow.
From Texas. With his wife.
Promise Land. Where is it?
And
Where is it?
Kids. No.
We're in news mode.
This is news mode. He also, you may know his name from breaking the story of Grove City College going woke last year, right?
That was you.
Something like that?
I came alongside the story. It was breaking on its own, but they've group of parents noticed some woke signs coming into the institution. Coming out of the summer of 2020, the school started taking an interest in social justice in a way that was causing a lot of concern. And so, the grassroots group of parents, rose up and made their voices known to the administration, and they were basically stonewalled. And so at that point, I got involved.
And then they started a petition.
Yes,
and that finally got the board's attention.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah,
and like last spring or something like that.
Yeah, in April of last spring, the board actually released a huge report, and they said, you know what, this is rare. Institutions don't often do this, right? They said, there's a problem here.
There's a problem.
And we got to fix it. And they told the president to do a bunch of stuff. The grassroots coalition is grading strictly right now. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And they're not happy with the progress that's been made. And so actually yesterday morning, this group of parents released a new petition, and they're actually calling for a leadership change at the top of the university. So they've put that petition out there. It's at savegrovecity.com. savegrovecity.com.
Check that out.
They've got it's a very well written petition, lay out a lot of facts, and then they have a timeline actually where they kind of cover the whole story of the controversy from the very beginning up until today. Yeah. So anybody who wants to kind of check up on what the story is there can find a lot of good information at that site.
And I mean, this includes, it says Friends of Grove City College. So really anybody that cares about Grove City College could sign this. You don't have to be officially connected to the college.
That's right. Okay. And they are taking either public or anonymous signatures. My understanding is that they're working as we speak on verifying public signatures.
What they say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So why did you get involved?
I have some friends who are alumni of Grove City. And,
okay.
You know, the way that the school sort of punched back at parents when they made their concerns known sort of activated my sense of justice. I think the parents went with open hands and said, we're seeing some issues. Can you please fix this? And they were sort of pushed back as outside enemies rather than, people who had the good of the institution.
So you have a heart for the little guy then?
I do.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. We've been talking for like an hour and a half, and somewhere in there where we were talking, I think in the beginning, I was like, this guy is reading me. And I think it's the lawyer in you, but I didn't know you went to Harvard Law School, right? That's they say it so humbly. This is the second time I think somebody from New Founding has been on the show and like, oh, you went to Harvard too. You guys just like grouping together at New Founding?
I think there's a certain type of person who goes to an elite school like that. Most people go there and they get very well programmed and they go and get a corporate job and they're very safe. They stay within the bounds that society wants them to stay in. Some people go up there and they get kind of radicalized.
And you got radicalized?
Well, he's on cross politics.
Gabe, put 1 + 1 together. Okay, makes 2.
I was following.
They're like, he didn't say it with his own mouth. It ain't happened. So then, how did you get to New Founding?
Yeah, I just started talking to the guys over there, admired what they were building from a distance, just struck up a conversation with them, learning about the organization.
Can you remind us what New Founding is for those of us?
Absolutely, New Founding is a venture studio. We're launching all sorts of ventures daily. Our main project is a social media platform, technology platform that's looking to scale human trust onto the internet. Ooh. So we're trying to find a way to create widespread value judgments that people make about products, businesses, and bring that up onto the internet. This is something that's going to help people who are concerned about the moral state of our nation, wanting to understand where they spend their money. But it's also going to help, just get past some basic issues that places like Google and Amazon have with producing garbage information, where reviews can easily be gamed. So we want to create a system where people are rewarded for having good judgment and providing valuable information.
So speaking of garbage information, what was your take on the midterms?
Well,
garbage in, garbage out.
So obviously they were, from one perspective, they were sort of a disaster, right? Biden is one of the most unpopular presidents in the history of polling. Inflation.
It's not what the votes say. It's not what the votes say. 81 million.
I'm getting to that. I mean,
81 million.
But there's the approval polls, and they say he's very low in the approval polls. He's got 10% official inflation. Probably higher. The the same time, the market's down. It's a terrible economy.
Yeah.
So all of those conditions, you think we should have had a huge red tsunami. And so why didn't we have a huge red tsunami? And that's the interesting question. My take on that is probably a little bit different than, I'm not necessarily looking to blame Republican leadership. Maybe there's some blame there.
Well, thanks for coming.
There is. No, there is.
I'm not necessarily looking to blame, Trump or, particular candidates. This failure happened in a lot of places, in a lot of different districts. And I think fundamentally, it just shows how divided our country is. You can have a historically unpopular president, and it's really not going to move the needle that much because people are voting based on how they feel about things like abortion or about minors having, gender transitions. You see this in Pennsylvania. Fetterman, has had a stroke. He's, in a realistic sense, how can he do the job of what a senator's supposed to do? Go and deliberate on the floor and argue.
But the Democrats don't need someone who argues.
They need a warm body who's a reliable vote on the issues that they care about.
That's right.
And you know what? I mean, if the shoe had been on the other foot, I think the Republicans would have happily voted in somebody who just had a stroke and had capacity issues because the issues that are on the table right now, we really care about.
Yeah, you ain't lied about that. It took me a second to think about that. I was thinking about that yesterday. I was like, I think, who was it? I think it was Steve Dace talking about how galvanized we are. It was like, Republicans wouldn't have done anything different than the Democrats. And I had to think about it. I was like, he's right, because I want somebody, even if a guy can just move his finger to be pro-life,
so does that
vote against the government on stuff.
So does that mean that it's just merely a matter of numbers? Like everybody's galvanized on their issues and we just didn't have the numbers? Or did we not really do the work we needed to do to win?
I think that the number of persuadables is lower than it's ever been.
Yeah.
So maybe there were some issues with the way that we ran, and maybe the lesson is you have to be perfect. You can't have any execution problems,
right?
Because there's just 5% maybe of the electorate is really persuadable in one direction or another.
That's interesting because I think I was talking. Who were we talking with about this? But he made the point that there was 30% that's conservative. There's this 30% that's liberal, there's 40% that's conservative, this other 30% gooey middle. You think that 30% gooey middle is not really 30% anymore?
No, I don't think so. I mean, and I hate to say it, but I think the abortion issue was very galvanizing for the left, and
right.
When that issue is at the front and center of people's minds, I think they're more likely to identify as liberals and support liberal causes.
You're right about that, because the exit poll shows that it was number 2 on the list, when actually everything that was polling before that said, it's like it's down there. It's like 7% of the people. Not a big deal at all for people. But coming out the exit polls, it was actually behind the economy.
This is sobering. Look at states like Kentucky, Montana.
Right.
They had abortion laws fail on the ballots.
Right. Well, and Kentucky in particular. I mean, there's some of them, I think it's like New Jersey or Vermont or one of those, New England City, California.
Mm-hmm.
They had some pretty extremist law. Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Kentucky.
And Montana.
Well, but Montana's got a weird libertarian streak. They want to smoke pot and kill their babies.
Why having guns?
Kentucky's a 65% red state.
Yeah, that's the one.
Abortion failing on the ballot there.
Right. And all they were saying is it's not a constitutional right in our state constitution. And that's...
But I also sometimes wonder, how those things are written. Conservatives are like, they can be confusing in how it's written.
So yesterday when we were ending the show,
that's my only defense there.
We're done.
No, please,
we're moving on.
Please move on past that.
A day late and a dollar short.
So then I was saying,
you know what? You're like the elections out there in Arizona. You're just late
and slow.
So yesterday we ended the show, and as we're ending the show yesterday, we get a notification of Trump writing a letter.
Yeah.
Talking about DeSantis.
We talked about Winsome Sears. In Virginia, the lieutenant governor, which is interesting. Why are they interviewing her?
Yeah.
And she's like, Trump needs to get out of the way.
And
Youngkin's last name sounds Chinese.
So have you seen the letter yet?
I skimmed it.
Okay.
Trump said that, not me. Just so you know.
I just want. So I think we should
read
part of the letter for our audience. So some people haven't read it.
This is former President Trump coming out after Ron. Ron came to me in desperate shape in 2017. He was politically dead, losing in a landslide to a very good agriculture commissioner, Adam Putnam. who was loaded with cash and great poll numbers. Ron had low approval, bad polls, and no money, but he said that if I would endorse him, he could win. I didn't know Adam, so I said, let's give it a shot, Ron. When I endorsed him, it was as though, to use a bad term, a nuclear weapon went off. I wish I had a Trump accent to do this with, but I don't. Years later, they were the exact words that Adam Putnam used in describing Ron's endorsement. He said, I went from having it made with no competition to immediately getting absolutely clobbered after your endorsement. I then got Ron by the star of the Democrat Party, Andrew Gillum, who was later revealed to be a crackhead.
This is still Trump, man.
By having 2 massive rallies with tens of thousands of people at each one. I also fixed his campaign, which had completely fallen apart. I was all in for Ron, and he beat Gillum. But after the race, when votes are being stolen by the corrupt election process in Broward County, and Ron was going down 10,000 votes a day, along with now Senator Rick Scott, I sent in the FBI and the U.S. attorneys, and the ballot theft immediately ended. Just prior to them running out of the votes necessary to win, I stopped his election from being stolen.
Oh, wow.
We don't know why couldn't stop his election from being stolen, but I mean, I'm sorry. And now, Ron DeSanctimonious is playing games, exclamation point. The fake news asks him if he's going to run if President Trump runs, and he says, I'm only focused on the governor's race. I'm not looking into the future. Well, in terms of loyalty and class, that's not really the right answer. This is just like 2015 and 2016, a media assault, he has in parentheses, collusion, when Fox News fought me to the end until I won, and then they couldn't have been nicer or more supportive. The Wall Street Journal loved low-energy Jeb Bush. I love his nicknames. And a succession of other people as they rapidly disappeared from sight, finally falling in line with me after I easily knocked them out one by one. We're in exactly the same position now. They will keep coming after us, MAGA, but ultimately we will win. Put America first and make America great again. Exclamation.
This is interesting. This really isn't about Ron DeSantis. This is more about Trump gathering his base. But I wonder what you think, Josh. Like when you hear this.
Yeah. I mean, Trump is smart. He knows what he's doing. He's controlling the news cycle with, coming out and critiquing Ron right before the midterms and then this letter. And there's a real danger for Ron here. Ron is actually at risk of having the Republican establishment fall behind him. And that's going to be a massive liability in the primaries if that happens.
That's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Explain it, though.
Yeah.
Right. So,
I think I know what you mean, but go.
Right. So if Ron appears to be the alternative, the one alternative who can actually beat Trump and be the GOP nominee, he's going to get the support of people like Mitch McConnell and all of the rest who are hated in the Republican Party.
Yeah, by MAGA particularly.
Yeah.
Right. And when they all line up behind Ron, that's the day Ron loses because he's going to be the establishment pick.
That's
and,
right.
People...
And he already kind of feels, he's kind of slick. He's kind of smooth already, even though he's taken a lot of harder stands, bolder stands.
Yeah.
So how do you, if you're giving him advice on how to move forward, how do you stop that from happening?
I would, if I were in his campaign, I would tell every establishment Republican, do not publicly endorse me. In fact, I would actually probably prefer for there to be a more establishment candidate to run who could take that heat.
Yeah.
I would not seek, I would actively ask people not to endorse me from the
establishment. Maybe we can get Jeb Bush to run again.
You know what?
Yeah.
But doesn't Trump make a valid point that Ron should, he should be saying, you know what, Trump was there for me. I wouldn't be where I was.
Yeah, that line, in terms of loyalty and class, that's not really the right answer.
I mean, isn't he right about that, though? I mean, Ron really did get the bump from Trump. He wouldn't be where he was if it wasn't for Trump. He wouldn't have been that type of leading governor if he didn't have that type of president out there, right? Doesn't he owe Trump some sort of like, hey, you know what? I was happy that Trump won. He's done a lot of great things for our country. Of course. Wouldn't he be a classy man to admit those things instead of kind of like, yeah?
Well, DeSantis has admitted those things. I mean, in politics, it's a dirty business, I mean, sure, Trump helped him and DeSantis has thanked him for helping him. But it's also true that DeSantis hasn't really been, he's said he's not going to run on several occasions. And Trump is still coming after him because other people are saying, "Oh, wouldn't DeSantis be great?"
Like Gabe.
Yeah,
right.
No,
Exactly.
100%. Why Trump's scared of me? Why does that hurt DeSantis? Trump doing what he's doing. Why does it hurt DeSantis more than it hurts Trump? I mean, the last, I say 24, 48 hours, I've heard a lot of people who like Trump come out and be like, what the heck is he thinking?
Yeah, a lot of people
shooting at friendly fire.
Well, I don't think it necessarily hurts DeSantis yet, but Trump is, Trump cares a lot about loyalty, and I think he's kind of signaling to backers, if you, I want to see where you stand, and if you're kind of hedging your bets or maybe getting behind DeSantis, that means you're on the outs in my campaign and administration, and so he's asking people to signal where they're going to stand. And I think he's also probably encouraging or provoking an establishment reaction in support of DeSantis. It, right or wrong, it reminds you of 2016. It reminds you of all of the mainstream Republicans lining up behind anybody but Trump.
Anybody but Trump.
Yeah.
Right. But this is what Trump does. I'm not surprised that he's doing this.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
This is how he communicates. This is how he acts.
Yeah.
I mean, watching him, what he did with Ted Cruz was Ted Cruz. I mean, he knows politics. He knows how to communicate publicly. And for Ted Cruz to get pushed off of his stump and manhandled and owned was amazing to watch happen publicly. Because that was the last person. I was like, Ted Cruz is going to walk. He's the most intelligent person up there. He's going to walk away. I've seen Ted Cruz out of nowhere get up and give a speech for 2 hours on the Constitution. He's a brilliant guy.
Yeah.
But he couldn't even handle Trump.
Trump's a brawler.
Right, he's a brawler. And so he took him out of the knee. So I'm not surprised that Trump is acting this way, but everybody's acting like, oh, Trump, how could you do this? But that's what Trump does. Mm-hmm. That's what he does. That's how he controls things. So anyway, I think there is some respect that needs to be paid to Trump, even at this moment. I think DeSantis can help guide Trump by saying, hey, you know what, man? I appreciate you. I don't care what everybody's putting in your ear. I've always supported you. I'm grateful to be here. I wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for you. And so I just want to say thank you. That's where I'm standing at. And I'm trying to be a good governor of Florida. That's my important.
That's how you treat godfathers.
Right. I think that's
Kiss the ring.
Yeah.
It's not just kissing the ring. I think that we've been so broken down in the
That's what
Fifth
this
Commandment
is.
that we don't know how to
100%.
honor men before us.
Yeah.
Now, on the other side of that, some of the men that we have to honor and learn how to honor don't know how to pass the torch.
Yeah.
We don't know what succession looks like.
Right.
We don't know how to build it up for the next man. Now, one of the things about politics, my problem with DeSantis is I think politics is more like wine. You need to sit there and mellow out a little bit, get your proof up, get your flavor up, and then you can go ahead and engage in this. Man. He got his crown. He got his crown. Did you see that? Did you see that?
I have fought the good fight.
I got my crown.
I have kept the
I don't
faith.
think, I don't think he knows what that means.
Yeah.
What's the story with Arizona?
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's get to Arizona, and then we got to turn.
Gabe all got wrapped all inside of Trump.
I know. I was curious. I'm curious like cat. in that
I'm
conversation.
curious. And then I want to know about fat boys.
So we need to do just a quick.
boys.
I don't know if we'll get there. I don't know if I have time. But do we have time? And we kind of go a little longer or something. We don't.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. We need to do a little update on Kari Lake in Arizona.
What's her name?
Kari. Totally 100% Kari.
Just checking.
I'm on my game now.
She tweeted earlier. There's big news coming.
Yeah.
And so on Charlie Kirk's show.
Yep. Charlie bit my finger.
Yeah. This was
Was that good? That wasn't good.
Who was it?
I got my producers laughing though.
Yeah, that's
All right, so this is the big update that Kari Lake was referencing on Charlie Kirk.
What, Gina Swoboda?
Gina Swoboda.
What percentage of ballots left in Pima County are late earlies versus election day drop-offs?
So it looks like, according to what Gabby said this morning, that she was conflating. It was not that there were 103,000 late early drop-offs. It's really about 50,000 late early drop-offs, and then 44 or 45,000 that came in for that Friday, Saturday, Monday. So it's about 50,000 late earlies.
So 50,000 drops, is that right?
Correct.
So those should favor us probably 55 to 57%, maybe
Correct.
even more, right?
Yeah, correct. 55 to 47, 55 to 58. We looked at that in the last drop, and we won those.
Got it. So, and then those late earlies in Pima shouldn't be as bad as some of the prior earlies. Is that right?
Yes.
So
those are not our majority voters.
Yeah. So if you blend that all together, there's a chance that Kari or Blake get 52% of the remaining votes in Pima County. Is that right?
Yep. Yes.
Which is great. That means that Katie Hobbs has she really has no county. Path. She has no path if that's the case.
Yep.
No matter what, period.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, signed, sealed, and delivered.
Okay, so I would like to believe that that's a reality. The only problem that I had, this is the 9-minute clip that Kari posted on Twitter. But the problem is this is the end of the 9-minute clip. Before this, there was a part.
This is the middle.
No, this is the end. This is the end of the 9-minute clip. Before this, middle of the clip, they're actually talking about the fact that they had this kind of problem.
The elections director in Maricopa County confirmed last night that there were more than 2 vote centers that had an issue where at the end of the night, part of the poll worker breakdown process is they pull all the ballots out of the tabulator bins and they bag them. And when they pulled them out, they pulled out the separator that keeps the tabulated ballots on one side and the door 3 ballots on the other side. So if those got commingled together, and it's our understanding that they got commingled together in more than 2 vote center locations, that would mean that we have ballots that didn't get counted when they said how many went into door 3 and later began the process of sending them to tabulation. So yes, I believe there are potentially a lot more, but there are more than 17,000.
That's incredible. That's like walking into a wedding with a cake and tripping and dropping the cake. You can't undo that. I mean, you just can't undo that.
While everybody's at the party going in to make a new cake.
If only we knew when election day was going to be. Yeah. If only we could have known ahead of time and been ready for counting. You had one job.
So so they're going to have to take one of the things she said after this was Gina said that they're going to actually have to take all those ballots back again and recount them. You know what? At this point, when I see that kind of incompetence, I want to fire those people to make sure
you don't get to count again.
You're done.
They should fire the person in charge of elections in Arizona.
You mean Hobbs?
Hobbs.
But that's the thing. If Katie Hobbs wins, do you really want her to be your governor after all of this? At some point, can we have a mulligan? Yeah. She wins, I want a mulligan. So you're a lawyer, right? Yeah. Well, how do you fix this? You're a smart guy.
Fire everybody.
Yeah, you fire everybody, and you just have to significantly tighten up the ship. I mean, the fundamental issue that causes the difficulty in counting ballots is when you have so many mail-in ballots. You know, they don't want mail-in ballots being counted before election day, because if they're counted before election day, the results will be leaked.
Right.
So they're stacking up huge piles of mail-in ballots, and they can't count them until election day is over. So they've got to drastically shorten the window for mail-in ballots. I mean, I don't even think there should be mail-in. Maybe you could have absentee ballots, but widespread mail-in ballots just shouldn't be happening. Full stop. Everybody votes on election day. It's how 80% of democracies around the world do it. There's no reason we can't do it here.
You'd think. Well, anyways, Dime Payments is a Christian-owned processing payment business. Every business needs a payment process system.
That's right.
Apparently Arizona needs a payment process system. So please go to dimepayments.com/FLF and sign your business up. Working with them supports us. They won't cancel you like Stripe canceled President Trump. They won't cancel you like MailChimp canceled the Babylon Bee.
It's true.
Check them out. At least have a phone call. Tell them that Cross Politics sent you.
You better.
Go to dimepayments.com/FLF. Y'all ready for the weekly wrap-up?
Give a beat. I like it.
Is it coming? Is it coming? Hey. On Monday, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya was in the House.
Oh, man.
Well, via phone call. Read the CDC, the Riot Act, listing the ways our government's medical advisors failed us during the COVID.
He gave us 5.
And how evangelical elites like Francis Collins supported misinformation and the suppression of medical freedom. What did they do? Oh man, I wrote it down, so I'm gonna tell you again.
Ooh.
They suppressed the fact that we were dealing with a virus with a 99.8% survival rate. Children were never at risk. Lockdowns did nothing to stop the spread, but they certainly crushed our economy and supply chains, throwing $100 100 million people into poverty worldwide, hitting the poorest people the hardest, with estimates of 240,000 children dying in Asia alone from fallout from the lockdowns. We were lied to about the potency of natural immunity. We were lied to about the efficacy of the vaccines. They don't stop transmission. And we caused millions to lose their jobs over the vaccine for a virus that, again, I might want to point out, has a 99.8% survival rate and was never a threat to children. Did I mention that? They also required masks everywhere when all our medical studies from before the pandemic clearly indicated that they do nothing to stop the spread of viruses. And we probably sent piles of the most vulnerable people, like the elderly, to early deaths by giving them a false confidence in masks.
And don't forget, he never mentioned this, that they had to redefine the definition of the vaccine to constitute as a vaccine.
And more. And
that
was just Monday.
Yeah.
On Tuesday, we had Doug Wilson in the house to watch him set stuff on fire. We like doing that.
Kept him away from my computer, though.
Yeah, we did. We also talked to him about No Quarter November and the rise of Christian nationalism. And it's our hope that Christian nationalism is the gateway drug to general equity and common law theonomy. You know, like Alfred the Great, Samuel Rutherford, John Knox with his, battle axe. You know about his battle axe?
Yes, I
And
do.
John Witherspoon, who signed all of the American documents. We also did a midterm election coverage show that night.
Russell Moore never could have signed those documents.
No. Where we talked with William Wolf, Dennis Serfate, Dale Courtney, and Zach Lautenschlager about election results. What I remember from that evening is that William Wolf said he's planning on baptizing his newborn baby.
Yeah.
Dennis Serfate said Chocolate Knox already tried to at ReformCon, and Zach's baby's already baptized. And Dale Courtney brought the best sipping gin I've ever had.
It was trippy. It
Those,
was trippy.
I didn't even know there was such a thing as sipping gin.
That's trippy.
Yeah, those were the main election results I remember. On Wednesday, we discussed the red wave of abortion bills, where a number of states gave God the middle finger and dared him to destroy them. The biggest Republican wave was in Florida, where Ron DeSantis claimed his victory was something like the Apostle Paul's valedictory preparing for martyrdom. And that means that either DeSantis is getting a bit puffed up, or else he's prepping for execution. Did he know that's what Paul was talking about in 2 Timothy? The Psalm of the day was Psalm 20.
So good.
And we talked about how God's strength comes out of the sanctuary.
This is my Psalm of the week,
And
not just the day.
Yeah, it's for real.
Yeah.
And that's why we don't trust in horses or chariots or elections or money. And I gave a list of the 5 most important political actions Christians do, beginning with biblical worship on the Lord's Day and building faithful families. Yesterday, we talked about some of the outstanding elections where they've hired the McDonald's milkshake text to run them. And we watched Kamala and Biden doing their victory laps. Somebody actually suggested that Fetterman was so authentic, maybe he should consider running for president. And Chocolate Knox actually nominated him here on our show.
I'm with it.
So if Fetterman becomes our next president, you all know who to blame. We also talked about the current backlash against Trump, which is what the establishment Republicans are always trying to do. And even though I probably like DeSantis better on paper, I'm still incredibly suspicious of the Republican establishment. And part of me is inclined to think that we need another 4 years of chemo.
Yeah.
My final thought for this week is that we really must double down on Psalm 20. Our help comes out of the sanctuary, not Washington, D.C., and certainly not the CDC.
That's right.
But this isn't an escapist message. What we want is the whole counsel of God proclaimed in the sanctuary. We want the Lord Jesus Christ proclaimed. His name is our banner. And then we want to take his word, his gospel, his law, and go apply it everywhere, starting in your own heart and life, then your marriage and family, then your schools, businesses and cities, counties, states, nations, and the whole world. In other words, if you're doing it right, you should be getting all of Christ for all of life.
Preach, preacher. All right, so how much time do y'all have? We have time for a little backstage?
I gotta go meet, but you guys can. I got a meeting that we went way into my meeting.
So, your meeting.
I can leave.
Okay, yeah. Hold on one sec. So, Josh, are you one of those Christian nationalists? Wait, don't answer. Just not yet. If you're single, get married. If you're married, what do we want to know? If you're married, have kids. If you have kids, go baptize them. Until Monday, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast.
This is Cross Politic.
Putting off writing that proposal again? Yeah, we've been there. Proposal writing can be tough. It takes work, and if you're not careful, you can set up your company for failure. Well, that's where we come in. Smart Pricing Table is an innovative application that focuses on, well, the pricing table. Instead of a static document and constant back and forth, our platform creates interactive proposals that empower your prospects. Not sure if something is needed? Make it optional. Have complicated services that vary? Let your customer do the work with line item upsells. Have reoccurring services? Easy peasy. With Smart Pricing Table, you can create attractive proposals quickly. And our system is built for reuse, so you can get out of that hamster wheel. Give your customers choice and close deals quickly with Smart Pricing Table.
It is the duty of the free man to resist tyranny at every turn. Every man will either watch his freedom stripped away or take action to protect what he loves. Introducing the A3, the newest revolutionary body armor from Armored Republic. The A3 is the new standard for lightweight multi-hit body armor. A3 plates are incredibly light at 4.6 pounds. The patented design captures fragmentation while remaining multi-hit capable. The A3 will stop up to M80 ball, yet comes in at only 0.7 inches thick. The A3 is the thinnest NIJ .06 compliant or certified composite standalone plate that includes the drop test. The A3 is the first of its kind, patent pending, that combines an alloy strike face with polyethylene backing, revolutionizing body armor technology by providing strength and durability while remaining sleek and maneuverable. The A3 is the new standard in lightweight body armor. The fight against tyranny just got stronger.